My first encounter with angels was in midsummer of 1961 when I was 13.5 years old. It happened during my near-death experience in a public swimming pool in ISRL. About a year and a half later, on December 1962, I began with my out-of-body travel at will. Coming from scientific, atheistic background and being a student in a Marine boarding high school with military discipline, and later serving as a soldier and then as an officer of the ISRL Defense Force, and as a senior sea officer in the Merchant Marine, I didn't dare to disclose my out-of-body communications for many years. It all started on a hot summer day in the public swimming pool that belonged to my uncle. Having free admission, I was one of the luckiest kids who used to visit the place almost every single day during the hot, humid summer of ISRL. Being an active teenager and a good diver and swimmer, I had a bet with a professional diver that I could swim under the water 3 times the width of the pool, about 83 yards, with one breath. The bet was over a pair of flippers. I won, but not before being pronounced clinically dead. I remember how at some point during that painful struggle under the water the winning suddenly became immaterial. I just hoped that I was still swimming toward the end to touch the side of the pool, but gradually I became totally indifferent. I felt like I was dreaming, while I slowly continued to swim, or at least I thought so while entering into a strange, deep, unconscious sleep. Then, all of a sudden, something amazing happened. I became very alert and refreshed, feeling as if I were vacuumed upward with a great velocity. I was astonished. It all happened so rapidly. I felt like I was flying at an enormous speed through a long and dark pipe that was also soft and secure. It didn't have real sides, but at the end of the pipe I could see a bright light. Next, I found myself out there, in the air, but in a unique position. I was actually floating about 20 feet above the swimming pool. I had no fear of falling down, and couldn't feel my weight at all. Although it was a very hot, humid day, it felt different now, very pleasant. Everything looked brighter but soft. I could see the horizon clearly as if some curtains were lifted. Then, looking down was incredible. I saw my body lying there on the slab near the edge of the pool surrounded by people who kept running from all over, while the lifeguard, a big woman, had started giving me mouth-to-mouth breathing, and pressing on my chest region. I suddenly could hear their thoughts and feelings. "Hey guys, nothing happened to me," I screamed happily, but none of them looked in my direction. After a few seconds, I noticed a huge and powerful being who was floating by my side. He was about 9 or 10 feet tall. I could feel his enormous, powerful radiation of energy, and yet he was not scary at all, more like a big father with a lot of love and care for me. He was shining as if he were illuminated from within. Observing him carefully, I realized that he was made out of light. Then, all of a sudden, he commanded with a loving voice, "You must go back. It is not your time yet. There are many duties you must complete, you will be back here in due time. Now prepare yourself to go back." I refused, I wanted to stay there. The feeling was so good up in the air, that I couldn't even imagine going down. By now I also became aware of light, soft music. It was a type of soft sound in the air, one which didn't interrupt my ability to listen to that huge being made out of an illuminated cloud, which eventually I realized was one of the powerful angels of the divine. "You must go down. It is not your time yet." He continued, "You must return to your body." Suddenly he got serious. Somehow I understood that I really had to go back. I looked down. The lifeguard was still working hard, now together with a person whom I didn't know. Later on I found out that he was a doctor from a nearby hospital who had come to swim that day. They were applying CPR on my body. I felt their anxiety, especially that of the lifeguard who liked me very much and used to call me Fish Boy. Next, looking toward the sun, I noticed the world was filled with a bright light in addition to that of the sunlight. I wanted to see more, but then, in spite of my resistance, I suddenly felt as if I were vacuumed down, falling rapidly back into my body. Soon I was rushed with an ambulance to Telhouse-Homer Hospital in the city of Ramat Gan for a complete checkup. Getting out of my body was the most important thing I truly wanted to do after that incident. As a young boy, I took the angel's words, "You will be back here in due time," as a promise. Every night I asked for his help to direct me how to get up there. I longed for that experience of floating freely in the air. My wish for freedom and the desire to see the world led me to join a tough Marine boarding high school. For 2 years I prayed for the help of that angel to help me get out of my body, but nothing happened. Then, one cold evening in December, after a long day of school studies and physical training at the Marine boarding school, I decided to take a nap while my roommates went out to the school club. I was just about to close my eyes when all of a sudden, in the darkness, I noticed that the room was changing in colors, as if it became full of lights. I kept lying down with my eyes wide open, witnessing this strange phenomenon. The center of the light grew denser, as if a heavy cloud was molded in it. I felt totally paralyzed, glued onto my bed. My heart was pumping fast as I held my breath. Soon a radiation of endless love and joy filled my entire body. The angel was there looking at me. "Did you come to take me with you?" I asked him. "No. It is not yet your time. You have a lot of work to do here. Your destiny demands much more," he said. "I came here to fulfill your dream. It is time for you to learn how to get out of your body, in a simple way, using your own will," he continued. Next, he instructed me step by step how to get ready to leave my body. Suddenly he told me to give him my hand. That night I was especially exhausted, but I carefully followed his instructions, and then gave him my hand. It was not the physical hand, I realized soon. It parted from my physical being. All of a sudden, I was completely out of my body, feeling so awake, alert, refreshed and joyful. That night was the beginning of many nights of adventures and learning from angels in the out-of-body realm. I used to leave my body after the lights went off in the dormitory. Looking down, I saw my roommates sound asleep, including my own body. Of course, I didn't dare mention my out-of-body journeys. I was sure that although I was one of the best students in the Marine boarding school, they would throw me out of school if I should mention even a bit of it. My spiritual learning was done in a telepathic way in a series of lectures with the angel Lambiel while I was out of my body, floating and absorbing the angel's words. First I had to volunteer to help others. I was only 15 that time, but I did. The learning included information about other lives in the universe, the origin of humanity on Earth, the inner reality of matter, speeds, energy, and lots of data that highlighted or completely contradicted what I was learning then at my school in science. But one of the most exciting events was when the angel told me about the future of humanity. "Today I have a very important message for you," he said. In a flash, we were high in space. Looking down, a great excitement went through my whole soul. A blue planet was down there. Planet Earth. I cried with joy. Soaked with feelings of love, I just kept looking down, absorbing the scene into my soul. I will never forget those moments. The following is a true message given by Lambiel, Angel of Divine. It is excerpted from The Ultimate Prophecy, Book 1. You, the human species on Earth, have come a long way in your evolutionary process and, soon, you are going to enter into a new era in your lives which is the next and the major step in your evolutionary process. I have already taught you about the concept of advanced life forms, such as a human being which is, in reality, a compound of life inside life, inside life. Each time a more advanced new life form emerges from the unification of the previous ones, let's explore it in more detail. It is important because understanding this concept will help you grasp the destiny of humanity. You know that a human being is actually a compounded group of lives. It is built of smaller particles, or smaller life forms, which are your body cells. But this is not the end of the story. Your body cells are also made of smaller particles, which are also alive. They aren't considered alive by your scientists. Nevertheless, they have their simpler life forms. You know them as the proteins and amino acids which, again, are made from simpler life forms. They are called by your scientists, molecules. These life forms are arranged in a specific code, creating the proteins and the living cells of your body that, in turn, create the human body. Again, David, this is not the beginning of the compounded life form. These molecules are made from smaller particles as well, the atoms. Within the physical level on Earth, The atoms are considered by your scientists as the smallest foundation or the complete basis of all the physical matter. The living aspects of the atom are being ignored, but in a much simpler form, the atoms have their own tiny, living spirits within themselves. In reality, the atom spirits aren't the beginning of the story. As you remember from the previous lessons, each atom is made of many subatoms 7, which are made from subatoms 6 and so on, all the way down to subatoms 1. Each subatom 1, together with the pure living